You woke up. Not from an alarm, not from an external scream, but from the silence within. A silence that used to frighten you, but now has become a sign of something real. The world no longer seems the way you once knew it. Everything that used to fill you, other people's opinions, rules, goals you were supposed to achieve, suddenly disappeared. All that's left is you. An emptiness. People call it loneliness, but it's not quite that. It's more like a pause between the past and the present. Between the familiar illusion and something new, not yet formed. This pause stretches like eternity. There is no meaning in it. But precisely within it, something else begins to grow. Something that's yours. You feel the emergence of the observer. Not a judge, not an analyst, but a silent witness. You watch yourself without interference. You see patterns arise in your mind. You need to be useful. You must achieve. Life only has meaning if. But you don't attach to them. They pass like clouds in an empty sky. You feel a little scared. You used to know who you were. You had labels, roles, goals. Now, nothing. No external validation, no inner script. Just presence. And it's strange. You don't feel better. But you feel alive. Real. And for the first time, free. You walk forward as if through fog. Each step is unplanned, uncalculated. You don't know why you're walking or where to. You just move. And with every step, your body feels as if it's returning home. Even though you've never been there before. You meet a voice. Not an outer one, but an inner whisper. Quiet, barely noticeable. It doesn't instruct. It doesn't persuade. It just is. You begin to listen. Not with your mind, but from the point behind your chest. Where intuitions are born and all concepts die. In this inner space, images appear. Not fantasies, images as meaning. They don't explain. They reveal. You see yourself not as a body or name, but as a flow. You're not fixed. Your movement. Your potential. You realize everything you believe to be you was just a form. Temporary. And within that form, there's always been this boundlessness. You are not a role. Not a status. Not an idea. You are emptiness filled with awareness. You meet fear. It no longer hides. It comes into the light. It says, what if all this leads nowhere? And for the first time, you don't run. You sit with it. Silently. Without fighting. And it begins to dissolve too. Turns out, fear doesn't seek victory. It seeks recognition. That's how true awakening begins, not in the world, but in you. You no longer want to play the game. Not because you're tired. But because you've realized the game can go on forever. But no game will give you what you already carry within. You look at the world differently. People run, scream, strive, defend, fight. And you simply observe. Not with judgment. With understanding. You were there too. And maybe you'll be again. This is not about superiority. This is about honesty. You begin to create. Not from the need for validation. Not from the urge to be needed. But simply because images, thoughts, forms are born within you. And they want to come out. It doesn't feel like work. It feels like breathing. You're not in control. You're allowing. And in that, there's magic. You create an inner world. It's not perfect. It's not logical. But it's alive. It speaks to you. Through dreams, through sensations. You don't seek explanations. You feel. You understand that meaning is not a thing. It cannot be found. But it can be created. And when you create it, it becomes real. There are no guarantees in this world. But there is wholeness. There is you. And for the first time, that is enough. On the path, you encounter the limit. It doesn't look threatening. It doesn't even resist. It just is. It's the moment when you want to go back. Because beyond everything is unknown. Inside, everything tightens. You want to grab onto the old, the roles, the recognition, the system. The limit is not a wall. It's a choice. You can return. And you'll be like everyone else. Living by the rules. Playing the script. But something inside no longer lets you. Even if you're afraid. Even if it hurts. You move forward. Not because you're brave. But because anything else is impossible. On the other side, even more emptiness. But now you're no longer afraid of it. You know that everything real is born there. You meet pain. But not from fear, from growth. From honesty. From exposure. Pain is not an enemy. It's an indicator. You learn not to run, but to breathe in it. And it softens. It begins to speak. You see love in it. Not romantic love. Real love. The kind that remains even when everything falls apart. The kind that doesn't demand, it just is. You accept yourself. Not as an ideal, but as a process. As motion. And in that acceptance, there is strength. You walk again. Not because you must, but because you want to. You want to be. To feel. To live. But now not for a goal, but for the act of living itself. You no longer search for meaning in the future. You find it in the now. In the simple. In breathing. In a touch. In sound. You meet others. Not to fill the emptiness, but to share the fullness. You don't demand. You're present. You don't explain. You listen. The world becomes a mirror. In it, your honesty reflects. Sometimes it frightens. Sometimes it reveals. But you no longer hide. You know that everything you see is a part of you. Even if it hurts. Even if there's shame. You meet a woman. She doesn't teach. Doesn't save. She simply is. And you don't cling. You don't hold. You allow. In that freedom, depth is born. No promises. Just the moment. Just truth. And it is more than everything you knew before. Because this is real. You return. Not backward. Forward, but in a circle. You come back to the same world. Same streets. Same people. But you are different. And the world is no longer the same. You're no longer dependent. You choose. You no longer run. You direct. You no longer fight the system. You simply are not in it. You live differently. Without a script. Without a role. Without a mask. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. But it's real. You no longer prove. You act. You no longer save. You inspire. You no longer search for a path. You are the path. And you understand you are not a hero. Not the chosen one. You are a human. Just a human who once woke up. And instead of falling back asleep, went inward. And from that depth began to create. Not to change the world, but to be yourself. And that is the most radical thing you can do in this world.